right. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to the Negative to Positive show. We got a powerful show today. You know why? Because we have some powerful dads here with me today. And I had an opportunity to meet them a couple of weeks ago at the Generation Project. Is that what the name of it? Generation Project?
Yes.
And I was so impressed that, to see young dads want to move forward and to change tomorrow. And I was like, I told them I was going to have them on the show, and I just made it happen. So say good evening. I have DeMarcus. Say hello, DeMarcus.
What's going on out there?
Tell them what you do, DeMarcus.
I'm a barber. I'm also a father first, and I'm just here to spread the word about fatherhood, being a black man in America, trying to make it a positive example for my sons.
Absolutely. Now, how many sons do you have?
I have 2 sons, 1 daughter.
Okay. What are their ages?
My oldest is 13, my daughter is 6, and my youngest will be 1 tomorrow.
Well, all right.
Yeah.
Party time. And Joshua Scott, tell us something about yourself, Joshua.
I'm a father. I'm an entrepreneur, and I have 1 son, and his name is Million, and yeah.
How old is he?
He's 1 year old.
Okay, he's 1 year old. So we already know that I'm a dad, but the show is not about me. It's about the dads of tomorrow. And I wanted to ask these gentlemen some questions because I know they're not the only new dads around. So I know you're a veteran dad, and I'm a vet dad. I'm 70.
Yeah.
So let me ask you first, Joshua. Did you want to be a dad? Was that a plan?
Yes, most definitely.
It was the plan?
It wasn't a plan this soon, but definitely in the future.
And what made it to be a plan for you?
Just carrying on my seed and my genes for my family, and just building a strong foundation as far as the family is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
And what about you, DeMarc?
Actually, initially, I had my son when I was 17, turning 18.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like it was just planned, but I wasn't opposed to it. I know I had to accept responsibility for my actions.
Mm-hmm.
And with that being my firstborn, I didn't let that stop me, from going forward. So
Now, did you always want to be a dad?
eventually,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't think it was going to be when I was 17 going on 18.
I was a dad, 17 going on 18, and I wanted to be a dad. That was on my list of things. I wanted to be a dad. I wanted to be a Marine. I wanted to be a photographer. I wanted to be a truck driver. And you know what, guys? I nailed them all.
So,
Yeah, but I didn't know I was going to have that many kids, though. So, but and the idea of wanting to be a dad, that comes from what? What you saw, or what you wanted a big family? Are you from a big family?
Nah, not really.
How many in your family? How many siblings?
I have about 3 siblings.
Mm-hmm.
But I prefer, as far as children,
Yeah.
about 11, 12.
Your age? Or you want to have 11 or 12 kids?
Yeah, I
Did you see what
Nah,
my face?
I'm 26, but yeah, I prefer like 11 plus kids.
Is that right?
Yeah, in the
All right.
future, most definitely.
What about yourself?
I'm good with my 3.
What's you want to break no records? I'm not going to 11.
Records.
I'm done. Yeah. Okay.
Hey.
Really? Why would you want 11 kids?
I mean, just having a football team, as a family, and just getting a lot done. Keeping everything in the family as far as business wise, all that.
So we're talking about legacy.
Most definitely.
Right, and I think that's the new to me that was a new word. That was the big word of 2018 is the idea that we have not created legacies. And legacy to me is not about the money. The legacy is about the unity of family and the traditions that go with family that we already know what Granddaddy said. We already know we lost a signal. We already know that we've a part of our day is that we're going to reflect to the traditions and the way of our family is, especially when we're talking about holidays, And I found that my family was kind of disarray because the holidays didn't work out.
Right.
So what we had to do was we got to create some new traditions and a new legacy. Those are things that I'm looking into. What does legacy mean to you?
Legacy means to me is something that lasts the test of time. You know what I mean? As far as greatness, family wise, anything of that matter.
Mm-hmm. Now you're being an entrepreneur and you're a master barber.
Right.
Right. So what does legacy look like to you, and how you plan on incorporating your kids into that legacy?
My legacy is one that was inspired by my oldest son, DeMarion. With me being a barber already, he inspired me to really open my own shop. because I was working at somebody else's.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And he asked me a question one day. He said, Dad, when we gonna have our own shop? So I did everything necessary to make the money, open the shop, and get my son in a position to where he can feel like he has ownership of something.
That's right, because my grandfather used to say, Great Cozy Williams, he says, ain't nothing like your own.
And nothing like
And you call different shots when you own it. And you respect it different when you own it too.
Right.
So that's, truly understandable. I wanted legacy because there was none.
Right.
There was a break in the family line of the things that were being handed down.
Right.
So my grandfather was a steel worker, my mother was a steel worker. And one of the things she said to me is, you don't ever want to be a steel worker.
Right.
I had plans to do something different. Now I have to generate this whole idea of what is legacy and what is personal success for my kids. I don't expect them to do what I do, but the framework to success is there. Determination, discipline, research, networking, teamwork, things like that. So if they don't connect in my main goal, they'll still be positive in their walk to have their family on check. So that's how I look at it. So now there's a reason that we're here, is because we have dads. So my next question is, what was it like with your dad? And then we're going to get to you and we're going to talk about your dad.
My dad, it was a unique situation, I was born in '86, so that's when the drugs really hit.
Mm-hmm.
That's when the drugs really hit. So he had his battles in and out the street, battling what he battled with, addiction
Mm-hmm.
and incarceration.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, he gave me life lessons that I took and I applied, in my life today.
Mm-hmm. And what is that?
That's whatever I want, I can do if I stay focused.
There you go.
I gotta stay at it. You can't give up, and nothing's too big, and everything counts. So you gotta make everything count.
So how's your relationship now?
Me and my dad, we have a cool relationship. We talk on a regular.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's good. It makes you feel good now that does he connect with your son?
Yeah, but we live in two different states,
Mhm.
So it's more on the phone
Mm-hmm.
than in person. But we getting to that point to make everything.
Thank God for FaceTime. I mean, that's the least we can do
Yeah.
right now, right? Because I talked to my grandsons, and I don't know if you know, my grandson called in last show.
Right.
And, man, they did something to me because I could have never called in on my dad's show or anything like that.
Right.
So tell us, Joshua, about your relationship with your dad.
Well, when I grew up, I didn't really have a father. I didn't meet my father till I was 25.
Mhm.
The same age basically when my son was born, that's when I met my father. So it was kind of like tough accepting him because, I'm like a grown man now. I done been through so much.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, having that father is like I done had so many other father figures that, helped me along the way and gave me, mentorship. And so it was like when he tried to come in the picture, it was kind of like,
Did you reject him?
I didn't reject him. I accepted him. He told me, he gave me a long story of, why he was absent and, because he had my mom at, that was at a young age.
Mhm.
And so my mom was like 16 or whatever. And it was just tough. My grandmother, she was keeping, me from him and stuff like that. But it was just like, if you really care, you gonna find a way, you know what I mean?
Man, I understand your point, and my daughter brought that same point, that if you care, you would do everything within your power
Right.
to make it happen. Well, I have a situation going on, and it doesn't matter how much power we think we have. When the family wants to draw that line, which like your grandmother did, it turns the whole thing sour. You understand what I'm saying? You can't fight the wall of family, especially once she's 16 and things like that, because I have a son right now. His mother is in between him and I. No matter what I throw at it, she gets to make the final call, and she can poison the lane that I need to travel in with that son. So what we do is we end up waiting. We wait until you're curious enough and you're curious enough, and then the conversation starts without the interference of other people. So what he was telling you, he was sharing you his side of the story from his point of view. You know what you can't see? You can't see that door all the way in the back there, right?
Right.
But I can see that all the way in the back. So we have two different visions looking in the same direction. And that's kind of what's happening with your dad, whatever his story is his story and it's from his point of view, and you know we could probably poke holes in it, but at the bottom line, when you come back, what are you coming back for, and what are you bringing to the table to make me whole? And so if you heard the story and his story was not about moving tomorrow, but only about talking about the past, I can see you being upset about that because nobody wants to hear about it 30 some years ago. I was that guy. I am that guy. And all I can do right now is wait for my son to get curious enough to want to hear my side. And I have to have my heart open enough to have that conversation with him. And it may not be good. It may not be good. And you know what? You're also reading the book too. Tell him what you're thinking about. Did you read any of the book that I gave? Tell him what you think about some of the stuff that I wrote in the book. Because you said it was kind of similar to your life.
Yeah, definitely. Like with the anger management part, just being my own dad, like just not even having that picture of not having a dad in my head is just like using that as fuel to, you know, be a better dad for my son and also for myself, you know.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that he was reading the book, I Am My Own Dad. And when I met these gentlemen the other day, I gave them a copy, and I appreciate you reading it. And there's a purpose behind sharing things like that, is that you guys have a understanding that, one, it ain't perfect, and two, what we can do and what we should be doing. Because, you know, those list of things I put on there are great ideas, but you could add other things on that list, like when you start the making of a dad.
Right, and then you can create your own legacy.
Yeah.
Create your own legacy so that your children can follow your path. If there's no example set, you have to set the tone.
Absolutely.
Set the tone, they don't have nothing to follow.
Absolutely, because it's about modeling. You could get to some point that I'm actually modeling for my son because I want him to do, one, either do what I did or be greater than what I did. Right. And that's why I share my flaws and my problems and my issues with him, because if we're going to repeat the same cycle, you might as well get ready for it. And that's what you guys are here for now, is to get ready for it. So what are some of the things that you wish your dad would have done?
I wish my dad would have led by example. You know, he showed me a lot of bad examples coming up.
Right.
But it wasn't corrected over time. You know, conversation, it can heal certain things, but it's only so much it can correct, you know. You can say that you're sorry, but it's better to show me an example to follow. I know I'm creating a path I'm opening the door for my son to walk right in.
Mm-hmm. As a plan.
I'm setting him up for success. I wasn't set up for success, you know, so I had to figure it out.
What is success? What is family success?
Right.
What is legacy?
Right.
What all those things are,
Right.
and get them in pieces.
Exactly.
So those are things that we're missing. What do you think was missing for you? If you can put it in traits, because we're going someplace with that.
I wish my dad was there, you know, as far as my sports game. I play basketball. I'm good at basketball. You know, I feel like if I had his support, I definitely would have went even further with my career.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I'm going to still be successful in life regardless.
Right. So I asked that question. So everything you say that he didn't have, so which I would say attention,
Mm-hmm.
and you say leading by example, modeling. Have you got it on the wraps now? Because, you know, we're about to go on this journey and make more dads.
Right.
So if you got that, so tell me what it looks like for you with that plan on the idea of doing what he didn't do. And how did you get what he didn't give you? Because I mean, you just gave me one example, but there's other examples out there.
It just gives the child that extra confidence that they need. Like somebody else pointed to me, like a dad coming to like a little, you know, something, a little event that they have at school. The children whose father was there, they got that glow in their eyes,
Mm-hmm.
and the children who don't, they kind of like dim and just, you know, it's just like the life is sucked out of them when they don't have, you know, that support of their, you know, their parents,
Mm-hmm.
their mother or their father.
Yeah, because I got a story I'm going to tell.
Right,
Go
that's
ahead.
a good example because I go to all the events of my son's school.
Mm-hmm.
It's a major difference in how the kids react to me, the faculty react to me. I've been in his school the whole time he's been in school, and when he's in a school in a predominantly white area, they act like I'm a unicorn.
Right.
I've never seen a dad like you, which I know they mean a young black man, but at the same time, even at his school now, I'm
You
involved.
sure they wasn't just talking about that hat?
Yeah, they had a hat on. They have the hat on.
Right.
At the same time, it was rare, and I know my son knows that whatever he has going on, I'm gonna be all the way involved. If
And that's
nobody else
comfort in
can,
that.
right?
Because that's when we talked about, in the book when I talked about pain and anger, I was really angry because I felt isolated because no one was there in my corner. So I'm gonna tell a quick story because we're moving so fast. We're gonna have a lot of time, so I'm gonna tell some stories. My story is about the time I wanted to go play basketball, bitty basketball, and my kids. No, when wasn't my kids? I got dressed. I got everything ready the night before to go for bitty basketball, and I walked from my house about 8 blocks to the high school. So when I get to the high school, they got everybody in the bleachers. They got the kids and the parents and the coaches out on the floor, and he's talking to us. And he's telling us what's going to happen, and well, we're going to have a great time. And then he says, only the kids whose parents are here can get on the floor. And yeah, it crushed me. I cried all the way home because no one was there for me. My dad hadn't even met him yet, and my mom was at work. So that was the second longest walk of my life, was to go home and to do that. However, it changed my life because I became everything else. And I said nothing else was going to stop me since that day. And that's why I did so many other things in my life to be an overachiever, is because that day I was stopped by somebody who should have been there, and they wasn't there. And so I couldn't knock my mom because she had to work and take care of us. But the idea was that I had to make that motion forward. What I'm going to do with this? Because sometimes when we dealt a hand, we just fold with that hand, and we just go for broke. Because we don't have dads, so we do bad things and we stay in a bad lane for years. And then in those years, we create children, then we create another problem because we're only going to do what they've done to us. And that's sad because I kind of found myself in the same lane as my dad. I was so angry that things weren't going my way that I just barely did my job as dad. So my kids couldn't see the difference because I'm the only dad they have. But when you're around other dads, you start noticing what kind of job you're doing. And like what I said in the book is, don't be afraid to get another dad's wisdom. Some of the things that I've already done, you get them for free.
You don't have to make mistakes.
Absolutely.
That's a great point. That's a great point, because another thing we don't do as young men, as black men, we hold a lot of anger or a lot of issues. We don't ask questions about stuff. A lot of time we go into a situation freestyling, trying to figure it out. We might bump our head along the way. It might be long term, might be short term, but it can be avoided if we just communicate with each other.
Absolutely. I think I've met so many young men who are so angry when I talk to them, and they start telling me their story. And when I tell them, I kind of have the similar story. Hold on, we got a caller, and I think this is my son. Hey, this Negative Positive show. This is Paul Posey.
This Paul Posey too.
Yeah, you guys get to talk with my son. I like this guy. How you doing?
How you doing now?
My dad.
What's going on?
How y'all doing?
All right, how you?
Doing good.
You know me, at my third job, 50th job.
Right. You trying to make it happen. So what's this job you're on right now?
I'm bouncing downtown.
Okay. Yeah, well, that was a job I used to do too. So, Paul, we're talking about what we didn't get from our dads, and I won't feel bad if you say something that you didn't get from me, but they need to hear it. So, is there something that you didn't get from me that you're giving to Andre?
I guess probably the presence at a young age. Of course, I can't really I haven't given Andre anything yet that you haven't given me, because you, of course, were there when I was a baby. But I guess more along the lines of when he's a little bit older, I want to make sure I have a consistent presence, because I felt as if when I was younger, I did not have that consistent. It's not that you didn't come around or I didn't see you, I didn't know who you were. It's just you wasn't there every single day type of deal.
Right, and that's why that's why I'm doing this right now. So for Andre is to make it better. So a better me is a better you, Paul?
Right.
I love this guy. So you'll probably be on the show. Let's look to put you in the second show in March, and we're going to talk about dads and sons. You think you come in for that?
I'm not 100% sure, but most likely, yeah.
All right. Matter of fact, if we have the streaming from where you at, that's what we're gonna do.
Sounds good.
All right, man. Are you with? Oh, so when you see Andre again?
I see him tomorrow.
All right. Well, give him some love for me.
All right, easy day.
All right. Thanks for calling.
Yep, easy day.
All right. All right. He makes me.
Yeah, you feel it.
Yeah, that's my guy. Knowing that I'm not afraid to say that I wasn't the best father. And if I tried to tell him I was the best father, he would remind me the things that was missing. And like he said, because I was in the military, I came back to see him, but I wasn't there every day and every step and every fall and every pickup. But all I can do is do the best I can right now is to make sure that when we talk about Andre, my grandson, is that me and him is going to give Andre the best chance to make that happen. So that's what we're talking about. We're living forward to our kids. And it took me a lot to walk through my shame and walk through my son's pain to say this so he can be a greater dad than me. And I think sometimes when we don't turn around and do that, that's bad character on us, because if it's about evolution and growth, I'm a part of growth. And instead of getting you to start from 2 and you starting from a -3 to get to a 10, that's our fault because we were here before you. That's how I see it. So I'm willing to take my lumps for the truth, because it's the truth that they have to make decisions from. And my decision-making flaws have to be known. Well, why'd you make this decision, Dad? And why'd you do that, Dad? And if it hurts them, it's going to hurt you to repeat it and to answer that question. So I get it, and I appreciate my son Paul calling in. I just know that I've done the best I could, and they tell me I could have did better. And once I heard the statement, I could do better, I am doing better now. So let's take this call. Negatives to Positives show. This is Paul. Hello.
Hey, how you doing? I'm a new father.
Hey, how you doing? Have we met?
I'm doing good, man. Happy New Year.
Hey, well, thank you. So, what did you want to share with us today?
Yeah, so, well, just I guess what I want to talk about, with the holidays. You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess, you got to talk about Santa with the kids. You know what I'm saying? But then, you don't want to lie to the kids, but it's like, sometimes you gotta, because with the whole Santa theme, you're not just teaching your kids. There's the other kids. They interact with the other kids. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want your kid to be the first kid to find out Santa's not real. You know what I mean? Because he's gonna tell the other kids, and then your kid's a jerk. But you don't want him to be the last kid to find out Santa's not real, because then that means your kid's retarded.
Right. Well, okay. Well, I'm going to tell you something happened. I did pictures for a Santa. I did a Santa thing in Indianapolis a couple of weeks ago, and one of the young men says, that's not Santa. Santa's not black.
At In-N-Out Burger?
No. I went to a housing. I was at a apartment property, and they had a Santa party, and I took the pictures for Santa, and one of the little boys came up and says, "You know what? That's not Santa. Santa's not black." So,
oh my God.
So I think there comes a point that you have to sit your child down and explain to them the difference of what is Santa, what is Christmas, and all that. But you're right; it's hard to tell when is the right time.
Because just don't be the first. As long as they're not the first kid to all the other kids,
Right.
Then you got to meet all the other parents, and they're all looking at you. They're like, "Hey, man, you really messed up the last thing is from you."
Did you tell? Hey, thanks for your phone's kind of jacked up right now. So, but I'm gonna ask. We're gonna keep pushing on your topic. So I'm gonna ask these guys.
Is this better? Can you hear me better now?
Yeah. Okay. So, DeMarcus, what do you do about Christmas?
Yeah.
Christmas is not
What am I-
celebrated as far
Hold on a
as
second. No, we got DeMarcus talking.
Christmas not celebrated as far as Santa. But my youngest, like introduced it to him. He rejected it twice with a black and a white Santa Claus. I don't know if it was the hair on the face or what. He didn't like the concept. He liked the toy part, but as far as the person behind it, he's not old enough to really understand what's going on. But my oldest kids, like, I don't tell them about Santa Claus because it's a lie.
Right.
I'm not into lying to my kids.
What about you, Joshua? What are your plans for Santa Claus?
For Santa Claus,
Last year, I went Christmas tree shopping with my kids, and I asked the guy, "Hey, do you have, we wanted a live tree?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "You guys have the ones with the red balls on them already?"
Yeah.
And the presents underneath, they're like, "No, they don't come like that." And so I was like, "Hey, blame the guy at Sears, kids. There's no presents under the tree." And I said to kids, "This is very telling on how you've been behaving this year." So I spanked him this morning like a good father. I said, "Hey, you guys have been naughty because there's no presents.
Okay.
If you were good, there would be, So
Okay. So hey, we're gonna
see
push.
what happens this year, no.
Okay, we're gonna keep going on your topic, and I appreciate you calling in. Okay.
You said my child is bipolar.
Okay. So your answer. What is your plans for Santa Claus?
we don't really celebrate Christmas. We give gifts all year, so we don't put pressure on one day to spend a lot of money and keep up with the Joneses.
Well, me, I'm not a fan of holidays because as a young kid, our holidays were kind of jacked up. They ended in alcohol and fighting. Yeah. So it took me a long time. I think this year, because of the request of my kids, is to be mindful to share something about the holidays. But these are my grandkids now, so they got to explain because I don't celebrate it like they celebrate it, but I do the best I can if that's what they want to move forward. But at some point, we got to have the conversation of what is Christmas, what is Santa, what is religion, what is not religion, and what is our way of life, what our isms are in our family. So that goes back to tradition. Traditionally, are we going to put up a tree? Are we going to get together for Thanksgiving? Like for Thanksgiving, we barbecued. Right. We didn't do the traditional meal, and that was the call. So I'm good with that, because I'm not crazy about turkey. But
have you had it fried though?
No.
Exactly. That's why you're not crazy about turkey. Get
you
a fried turkey, bro. That thing juicy.
Yeah.
That thing moist.
Yeah.
I fry those.
Will you be giving me one next year?
We can work that out.
Okay.
Definitely.
All right. I mean, if you want me to have it, I'll give it a shot.
God bless you.
Right. But I'll have
Won't be mad at that.
I have some backup ribs.
Oh, yeah.
Some backup ribs. Just in case.
Ribs too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not afraid of that. But so these are things we need to have a plan for tomorrow, and that's why I had these guys on the show. What is your plan on being a dad? How do you want to do it different, and what are you going to incorporate? So let's talk about the Generations Project, because I don't know what happened in the sessions, but give us a slight idea, because I'm going to have Mr. Muhammad on the show, but I want to know what it did for you, and wait a minute, first, how'd you get into the program? What got you there? That's one first.
I got in the program because of Ms. Jackson referred me.
Wait a minute, first tell them what it is. What is the purpose of the Generation Project? That'll help people, because they might want to do it.
The purpose of the project is to help fathers and mothers be better parents, coexist, things of that nature. And if you have custody of your child, you can join the program by yourself. And that's the case I did because I have custody of my youngest son.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was enrolled in the program, I've been in a separate version of the program for a while, but I was reluctant to go to the 24/7 dash portion because it didn't really fit in my schedule. And
Right.
I kept encouraging me, come on, you'll like it, you'll like it, you'll like it. And
Right.
I went one day, and I'm glad I did, though. Because I met Josh here.
Mhm.
I ended up meeting you. And it was a spot where I could actually bring my son, talk about what's been going on, get a plan of action, and set up things in the future for my youngest son, my daughter, and my oldest son. I had real help there.
Mm-hmm. How'd you get in there, Josh?
I ran into Mr. Muhammad at just a little government building, and he had offered me, because he had seen me walking with my son, and he had offered me, and I thought about it because I know that most dads don't have any type of help when it comes to newborns or anything. So I was like, yeah, I give it a try, and the phone rings.
Mm-hmm. Neg2Pos show. This is Paul.
Jesus loves you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Love me.
I guess Jesus called.
Characters.
Right.
Jesus on the main line.
Right.
Tell her what you want.
Go ahead, Joshua.
Well, yeah, we met at a government building, and then I ended up going to the end of one of his last classes that was about to graduate, so I ended up not finishing the class, but I just got to see what it was like, and I enjoyed it. You know, I enjoyed the content that they were sharing with us, and it seemed like it can definitely help me become a better father.
What is one thing that you learned? You know, one thing out of that program that you learned? Because we're going to have Mr. Mohammed on the show, and we're going to talk about that program thoroughly. It's called the Generations Project. It's in Clayton County. You might want to Google it, but we're going to have him on here. Try to get him here the first Wednesday in March, and I sent him a shout out today to make sure that that'll happen, because I think it's a very, very great program if it'll get you to do something different. So give me one thing that you learned, that they actually showed you and you learned it.
I learned so much. It's hard to just pick one. If I had to pick one,
Yeah.
it's about the transference of anger. Like, children are going to mirror what they're shown.
Mm-hmm.
You have to limit how you respond to certain things in front of, especially young childs between the ages of 1 and 24 months. Like, they picking up on who they're around every day. So the influence that they have is what they're going to reflect.
Mm-hmm. Neg2Pos show. This is Paul.
Hi, Paul. I have a question for Marcus.
Yes. Go ahead.
I have a question for Marcus.
Yes, he's here. He can hear you.
So, Marcus, so what
Please,
is it
hold on a
like
second.
to
Before
have-
you listen, before you
have
turn.
a family, you have
Hold on a
two
second.
sons,
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Hey, before you get started, can you turn your phone off in the back?
and everybody always tells you that they look just like you. How does it feel to reincarnate yourself?
Excuse me. Can you hear me? I need you to turn your phone off in the back, and then ask your question again.
How does it feel to reincarnate yourself?
Excuse me, can you hear me? I need you to turn your phone off
Can you hear me?
and then ask the question again.
All right.
Can you hear me now?
I need you to turn your phone off in the background.
Okay, now you can hear me.
Okay. Now ask your question again, please.
I have a question for Marcus.
Go ahead.
I wanted to ask Marcus, what is it like to reincarnate himself twice? To have two sons that look so much like him that everybody compliments him on how much his kids look like him. As a dad, how does that feel?
Feels great. I have strong genes. Feels great. I have strong genes, and they run in my family. That's all.
That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that was my main question.
Okay. Did you have any other questions?
Where are you calling from? Texas?
I'm calling from Marshall, Texas.
Okay. Mars City. We in here. Shanique.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you for calling.
Bye-bye.
All right. So where were we before Texas called?
We were talking about putting the anger,
yes. Go ahead.
passing anger to your kids. It's very important that I stay mindful of the things I do, because I have a son that's about to be one. He's always watching. When I wake up, even when I think he's not watching, he's so impressionable and he's so attentive. Like, he notices everything. If somebody was to walk behind him, not make no noise, he hears that good. Like, he sees everything. So it keeps me on my toes from wanting to stray from the path that I'm on, because I know I got 6 sets of eyes. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Looking towards.
Absolutely. So give us one thing you learned from the Generation Project, please.
One thing I learned was it's not what you say to your kids, it's what you do. So it's basically like what you model is what they learn from. They don't, what you tell them go in one ear out the other. But if you model them and you do the right thing, they going to, follow by example.
Right. So for me, my mom was a cusser.
Man.
And I can cuss, and I can cuss very well. I think I can cuss in 2 languages. But the thing about that is by the time I joined the Marine Corps, cussing was not a problem. It was just a part of life. So, yeah, I learned that from her. But I know there's some things I saw I didn't want to do, like smoke cigarettes. My mom smoked cigarettes. So, but I can't say I learned anything from the program. I'm looking forward to being a part of the program one day. That it would be a regular basis that people like yourselves run into me. That's the plan. So, you think so?
We're gonna definitely.
We're gonna work on that. As a matter of fact, right? Because I do want to come out and visit your barbershop.
Yes.
Maybe I'll just get my eyebrows done because I. Because
Shave all that.
Yeah. We'll probably do that. But so now, do you tell other people about the project? Other men, other dads?
Yeah, all the time. Especially people that I know that are going through custody issues, that are having access to their child.
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually because the mother has been dominant. I'm not gonna say with the system, but mainly with the system. You know, it's kind of set up in favor of the woman. I found that out when I had full custody of my son, because all the assistance that they offer women for the main part, I don't feel like I've had fair access to it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're telling me that it's not for me. This, that, and third. I was getting a lot of runaround. But that's why I run into this program has been a blessing, because like they walk me or call the direct people that I needed to be in contact
Absolutely.
with to get the assistance.
I really believe times are changing. I really do, because I remember at one point the state told me I owed $25,000 in child support. I had already paid the money, and the mother was getting money from welfare, and they wanted to come after me for the money. And they tried to tell me that was a $25,000 gift. I like my kids, but a $25,000 gift just didn't make sense to me, and it took me 10 years to get in court to correct that. Right. So it's not about this program. I mean, the system is not for dads, but for a long time, dads was stepping up. So now, what's changing now? You have the fatherhood program. And you have this program, and there are probably more programs that are going to come, because dads are moving forward. Why?
24/7 dads.
24/7 dads. There you go. And the reason they're moving forward is because family unity is coming to the forefront now. If we're going to change what's happening to our culture right now, dads are going to have to be in the homes and be connected with their kids. And that's why I started this idea is that if we did more of what we're supposed to do to get our families back on track, a lot of these things we go through is going to fall to the wayside. You know, so whatever happened to us in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, we are those children. You know, so now the dads of tomorrow are going to take it to the next level, is to bring other dads to the table to let them know that we can make a difference. And we see what it's like when we're missing, because it was missing for us. We're going to take another call. Hey, Neg2Pos show, this is Paul. How can I help you?
Let them know that we can make a difference.
Hey, please turn it down in the background.
We'll take another call.
Was that? Okay, I guess they didn't want to talk. They wanted me to hear me. So, the purpose of the gathering is for tomorrow. So if you guys are just tuning in, I'm talking with two young dads who have small children who are going to be the dads of tomorrow. And they talked about what was missing and what we need to gain. And can you tell me if you have a plan? Because I got a plan. I got a granddaddy plan now. But what is your plan? Can you, like, if there was another dad listening to you, lay out a plan for him to do what you did or what you're about to do?
What I'm about to do.
Yeah, what would be the first thing?
What I'm about to do is start my oldest son on an apprenticeship to being a barber when he turns 14. Therefore, he can have his barber's license in the state of Georgia and be a master barber at the age of 16.
Go ahead.
And he can continue to.
Now, is there a plan B if he doesn't want to be a barber?
Yeah, he can always go to school, but he actually wants to be a barber. Like I said, he motivated me to get my own shop.
Right.
You know, so if you were to ask him or anybody else, he's going to say that's what he wants to do.
Roger that. Hey,
This dude's selling this fucking 511.
okay, I don't know who that is, and I don't know what's wrong with their phone. All right, so check it out. If you're going to call into the show, please turn off your cell phones or turn it down, turn the volume off your phone, so when you call in, we'll be able to listen to you, and I'll be able to answer your questions, okay? That would be the greatest thing you can do for us for the next 20 minutes. So what are you going to do? What is your plan, and what are you selling the idea to the next young dad who talks to you?
My plans are investing in real estate, and also starting a YouTube channel with my brother DeMarcus called 24/7 Dads.
Uh-oh. Well, I'll be a guest on your show.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
That's what I'm talking about. That's going to be here at Status Network?
It's a plug.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go. 24/7 dads, right.
Yeah,
but my question was for the dad part.
For the dad part,
Yeah. So you, what is your plan for being a dad? Because I'll give you my answer in a second.
Okay, well, I'm continuing to work in the Healthier Generations program. I'm becoming a mentor for the next 3 months, so it's gonna help me tune up my, dad skills along with helping other fathers. You know what I mean? So, as far as with a dad,
Let me get this. Negative Positive Show. This is Paul. Can I help you?
Hi, yes. I was calling in. I was calling for one or two things. First, I would like to have a question for both young men, DeMarcus and the other gentleman. If you have, what message would you have to, or advice would you give to young men, young boys who do not have a male figure in their life or a daddy role model in their life at that time? Just at the time, basically growing up from a young boy into a young man. What kind of advice would you all have with, you both being absent, kind of with your dads growing up? What would you have for them?
I think that he should, find, a fatherhood, well, a father figure in like a coach or something like that. That's what I did, because I didn't have a father growing up as well. So having a coach that, kind of guided me down the right path, that's vital, most definitely.
Go ahead, DeMarcus.
I also agree. He would have to get with a strong male figure or one uncle, cousin, somebody close to him that really has his best interest at heart. Because it could be a coach, but the coach might be only there because his athletic talent. It got to be somebody who have a genuine interest in the child, not just his athletic ability.
Right, because as a young man, excuse me, I'm a single mother as well, and we are away from, my close relatives that would, have that impact, so I was just, I noticed sometime with him, he's lost interest in actually getting to know his biological father because he's up in the age now where, like the other young man, whereas for DeMarcus, I know you said that, your father was, in and out, even though he had issues, but in the other young man, he was completely out of his life, which is more so, how it is with my son. But I can see now that he's just really has no interest in getting to know his dad, but I know he doesn't feel comfortable to just open up and talk to any man about issues that he may be going through as a young boy.
Absolutely. So for myself, I grew towards my grandfather and my neighbor. The things that they shared with me, they were just small gems, but it made a world of difference to me as I moved along towards my manhood. That made it just a little bit better. But it's nothing like your dad's love that we seek, and sometimes that makes us angry. So if he deals with anger, it's because he's missing something that he can really never grasp. So,
right.
Yes. So, but you can always go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said you can always reach out to me after the show and we can talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You're so welcome. So, what's your name?
My name is Kenyatta.
Well, thank you, Kenyatta. Thank you for calling.
Thanks, Kenyatta.
All right. Thank you. So, man, I got so much to say to make this easy for you guys. And the thing is always seek everything you need. I believe all our answers are in other people. And when we try to be an island and try to do everything for our kids, we fail. And the reason we fail is because there's no one else feeding into us. So having a mentor, getting a program, what we're doing right now, it is our plan to help other people grow beyond this, the limitness that we've been given is to be without our parents, without our dads, especially our dads. But we want to give a shout out to our moms. Our moms are a big part of it. It's not that I'm anti-mom. It's just that this is not mom's night. So in the future, I'm going to have some moms who raise some sons and some single mothers on the show. But for right now, I got to give it to these dads, because as in my former job working at the VA, I see so many of our black men who are not with their families, and I know for a fact that their families want their love. Even though they're going to have to break some eggs to make it happen, like with your dad, break some eggs, but they have some value, and sometimes their failure is a good value. Hey, welcome to the Negative Positive Show. This is Paul Posey. How can I help you?
Well, hello there. I'm calling. I would just like to just make a comment, I guess. I would like to commend the two young men that are taking a strong stand in their children's lives because they really need them. And I'm just happy to see them and just honored that they're doing what they're doing. And I just pray that they keep doing it and keep being a light for their children because they need them. They need their fathers.
And that's some powerful encouragement right there, and we deserve it. We deserve a chance
Spread the word to the states.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for calling in, because we have to be encouraged in what we do, because sometimes that's a tough road to travel. Right. And I know that for a fact.
It is most definitely, but it is definitely worth it.
Well, thank you so much.
It's definitely worth it.
Thank you so much for calling in. So, words of wisdom. I'll give you some words of wisdom about being a dad. Yes, you said they watch you. You have to know, you have to say things on purpose because they're watching you. Children are sponges, and we need to act like that. And that's why I say that we have to sacrifice our today for their tomorrow. You know, we want to do things, we want to thug it out sometimes, we want to knock people in the head, but do you want your child to follow the same way? And if you don't want them to follow the same way, you got to teach them the trick early of how to deal with negative people. You have to teach them the trick earlier how to deal with failure. You have to teach them the trick earlier what is success. You know, success has the same main ingredients as everything. Right. Discipline, accountability, responsibility, and understanding what your limitations are going to be. Right. And if we don't do that, they're not going to have it. And then they'll be seeking that from a lot of different places. So my idea is a child is but a jar. And mom puts in it and dad puts in it, and if dad don't put in it, that jar is half filled and is filled with everybody else. Do you want everybody else to fill your jar for your child? No, and that's the stand we're taking right now. No one else is filling in those jars for our children. That's what dads need to understand. If you want a full child, you do everything you can to fill that up from your point of view and her point of view. And then when the child gets old enough, he'll be making decisions
based on what's in the jar.
That's right. That's right. Because there's nothing in there, they'll be making whatever. That goes for sons and that goes for daughters too. So, you know, everybody knows I have 5 daughters, and I try to make the best of it because I have to tell them the same thing I tell my son. Negative to Positive Show. This is Paul.
Hi, Paul. My name is Darren.
Hey, Darren.
And I just want to commend DeMarcus on being a great father, even though he had a in-and-out father. He's doing a wonderful job with his kids.
That's what I'm talking about.
Thank you, Dad.
Mm-hmm.
You know that, man?
My dad.
That's what I'm talking about. Is this DeMarcus' dad?
This is.
You got to tell everybody this who you are. I appreciate you calling in, and that means a lot. Right. All right. So did you want to share anything else?
No, just that I love him very much, and he's come a long way. I'm so proud of him. I don't know what to do.
There you go.
Everywhere I failed, he succeeded. Yeah, he has succeeded. I'm so proud. Man, I just can't say enough.
I appreciate you.
You know, and I try and tell him all the time, you know, when you're not there for your kids, you know, it bothers you as a man.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But, you know, you have to grow past that, and you try to instill in them how to be a better man than you were.
Yeah, that's where greatness comes from, right?
Yeah, yes.
Well, I appreciate you calling in.
I'm so proud of him, man.
Man, that feels good. I feel good for you, DeMarcus. All right, well, thank you for calling.
All right, well, thank you for having me.
All right, bye. Hey, that's right. The Negative Positive Show. This is Paul. Hello?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, this is Rhonda McKenzie.
Hey, Rhonda. Oh, you called in twice. Oh, my goodness, my good friend Rhonda McKenzie. What's going on, Rhonda?
Oh, I was just calling to respond to the young lady that said that if you don't live close to people that could give a father figure to fathers that are not present.
Yes.
Oh, you know that I have twin boys, say 12 years old.
Yes.
And you know, my kids, there was a big brother, big sister organization. And which is really, really good for them. And plus they play football. You know, when I have trouble with my kids, I go straight to the football coach.
There you go. There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
And they handle it for real.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, I think some dads are dads 24/7. There you go. I'm a dad when I'm standing around other people's kids because I can't help but to be a dad. And then you notice that. You know, they notice when they're around dad figures because it's a natural instinct. As long as they are willing to learn, we're willing to teach because we want them to have the best. Good?
And I agree with that 100%.
Thank you.
100.
Thank you so much, Rhonda. Hey, matter of fact, hey, next time you call, have the boys around so we can talk to them, okay?
Oh, they is around. They hear me.
Okay. Well, tell them I say hello. Tell them I say hello, okay?
Okay. I will.
All right. Thank you, Rhonda. So, something else. It's okay to be wrong. And from what I learned from my son is when something changes, tell him why it changed. That was the biggest thing for my son. Some things I took for granted, he understood that I made a decision. When I really found out, he felt like I was leaving him out the decision-making process. And that part of the decision-making process was telling him that something had changed in my plan. So whatever it is, whatever you say you're going to do, if there's a plan to it and you tell him the plan, if it changes, be a part of the change, let him know what the change is, and then you guys can move forward. So I didn't learn that until now, that's how my son felt. You know, and he's 24. So it's the things that you have to be able to know that because they're watching you this is how you want him to conduct his life. And man, I swear, my nephew Jason will tell you, and he's watching from the outside, that he watches my son and how my son has grown under me. So he lets me know that I must be doing all right. Am I doing all right, Jason? All right then. So, you know, and our kids are report cards. So people say you can't know how your children are going to turn out. And if you don't know that, still conduct yourselves as you want them to turn out. Because there's nothing worse than you being told that you didn't do your part by your child. And they will tell you didn't do your part. When they get old enough, they will tell you. Because I've had a couple of my kids to tell me, Dad, you failed, you get an F in this area. And so I did the remedial class and I clept out because I didn't want them to just say, hey, I accept my failure and not change anything. So if it's not going right, the moment you know it's not going right, put forth the effort to change that for your child because they are tomorrow. And if you want them to do tomorrow stuff, you have to correct it on the spot. You can't say I was a horrible dad and stay in horrible status. You can't say I was an absent dad and stay in absent status if they'll let you change it. Because we know that sometimes they don't let us change the status to make it all come together. But then what I also learned is, too, just wait. If you believe your child loves you and you got an ounce of love in that child from a conversation or something like that, because they remember the small things. And when you get that opportunity to make it better, just make it better. Not so much as trying to correct the past, but just go ahead and move from the forward, from right where you're at. And that would be something, if your dad listened to the show, if he could do something, I would say to him is just take this moment now and just move forward because you can't change yesterday. You can't argue about something that happened 35 years ago and expect for a different outcome. That's not going to happen. Been there, done that. So I don't argue about the past. I know right now my kids need me to go forward, so all I can do is wait, answer their questions, and be the best I can be in their life and forward. So DeMarcus, from DeMarcus and Joshua, men, what did you say, dads 24/7 is coming?
24/7.
When's it going to start?
It's going to start by the end of this week.
That's what I'm talking about.
So be looking for 24/7 dads on YouTube. We got a lot of good content on the way.
There you go. So I would gladly be a part of that. I mean, like old dads 24/7 is like 48, 27 or something like that when I come through.
100.
Yeah. Hold on, we got a call. Neg2Pos show. This is Paul.
Yes, I have a question for Marcus.
Go ahead.
Marcus.
Yes, Marcus. I admire how you said that you had your oldest son along with you along the way as you were starting your own business. But what I was wondering was, at any point in time during your other children's lives, did you ever feel a sense of feeling like you was missing out on the younger children as you was working and building your business, or was it more like a situation to where you took comfort in knowing that not only were you there for your children, but as well you was helping build a better future for them as well?
Yeah, the latter part of the question, I feel like I'm building a better future for all my children. I feel a disconnect from my daughter at times because she's in another state, but I have a good relationship with her mother, so I don't feel like I'm separated from her at all. She's really who I feel the closest with, even though she's in another state.
Well, you know, dads and daughters is something else. Yeah. Hey, what's your name, sir?
My name is Dad.
Okay, hey, well, thank you for calling in, okay?
All right, thank you.
Hey, you right. Yeah, dads and daughters is something else. Sons.
Yeah, my daughter got the same birthday and everything. That's my baby.
There you go. Yeah. And they all work together, right? On that love thing?
Of course.
So, I don't know what to say about these. I can't say enough about these guys. I'm glad I met them. I'm glad they were trying to do it on their own. It's not like somebody had to talk you into it. And wait a minute, before we go, you said something earlier about dads taking care of the kids. Tell everybody what it's like, because you have your child, right? So give us a quick 30 seconds what it's like to have your child 24/7.
Having my son 24/7 is just 24/7 motivation. It makes me want to be a better person, provide more for my family, for him. It changed me a whole lot, because it's just like now you have something much more to live for. It's more than just yourself. You out of that selfish mind frame, and it's just like it's a beautiful feeling. Like every day to just see your seed right in front of you, like a reflection of you, like, and however it grows up, it depends on how you know whatever you
put in it.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So hey, this is Paul Posey, a Neg2Pos show. I am pro family, pro dads, pro mom, pro daughters, pro sons. I tell you, how we're going to change the future? We're going to grow our future. The solution is in our children, and we've got to pour into them to make it happen. If we don't pour into them, it's not going to happen. We're going to be in this same cycle we're in right now, cycle of family dysfunction and wishing. See, we don't want to wish, and I don't want my grandsons to do this work when I'm alive and breathing right now. So I want him to have it easier by me doing the work right now. So I got a good 9 years left before I go fishing. That's my plan. I got a 9-year plan. I'm going to give you everything I got for the next 9 years, and then I'm going fishing. But in these next 9 years, I'm going to pour it all into my son and my grandson and other dads to make sure that we are a part of tomorrow's solution. That's what we got right here, the Neg2Pos show. I want to thank everybody who called in. I want to thank DeMarcus for coming. We will be back in 6 months. Joshua, because definitely I want to promote your show and be on your show. And I want to thank Joshua for coming in, because, hey, when I see these guys with their sons, I'm a crybaby. I don't think anybody knows. Well, I guess you know by now I'm a crybaby, and my son makes me cry because I watch him do the things that I didn't get a chance to do. And it was never done to me. So are we good?
Generational curses.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's a curse. That means something started, and that means it could be broken. Right. And that's what we're here about, breaking that generational curse, because we are not the ones who started it. Right. And we don't need to move it forward.
But we can be the ones that end it.
Absolutely. That's the plan. I want to be a cycle breaker. Raise your hand if you want to be a cycle breaker. I want to be a cycle breaker. We're going to be some powerful dads. That's the plan. And I want to be a part of every program that moves forward, because, man, we've done it made me angry for years that no one wanted me. And that was it, because no one came for me. But you know what? The day I met him, that anger subsided. The day I met him. I didn't keep my relationship with him, but the day I met him, the anger subsided. So what that means is sometimes you're just going to have to do your parts if you're not connected with your kids, and just show up. Show up to listen to what they have to say so they can keep growing, even though you stop growing. All right? How we looking, baby? All right. So until January 16th, we'll be talking about family and mental health. and it's going to be great. I'm going to have my therapist here. If you ain't got one, you better get one. And she's going to talk about mental health for families. So thanks for having us here at the Neg2Pos show. Yeah.